Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So before I get into this review today, just want to remind everybody that my giveaway for a brand new hardcover copy of The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward is still going on, and it will be going on until Friday. I believe it's November 19th. That's when I will announce the winner. So if you're interested in that, go take a look at my Instagram at Prynne for all of the details on how you can enter my giveaway. I promise it's very, very simple because I don't like complicated giveaways. So I made it very simple for everybody to enter in. Also, on a side note, I saw Last Night in Soho last night. Very, very mixed feelings on it. It was one of those movies that I was really, really anticipating. Antlers as well. Antlers, though, I kind of anticipated for like a year and a half because it just kept getting delayed. I really enjoyed Antlers and I really enjoyed Last Night in Soho. Both films didn't live up to the expectations that I wanted them to, but Last Night in Soho is an absolutely stylistically gorgeous film. You can tell Edgar Wright really wanted to pay attention to like giallo filmmakers, and I think he did a very, very good job with that. Though I do think the third act kind of falls apart a little bit, but up until then, I was very sold on it. So did very much enjoy it for the most part, wasn't blown away by it, but I do highly suggest going and checking Last Night in Soho, as well as Antlers out if you guys are into horror films. But without further ado, let's get into this book review. So as you can see by my title, we are going to be talking about Inheriting Her Ghost by S.H. Cooper. This was a buddy read that I did with my friend Blackacre Doe. I will link his YouTube channel below. If you are into horror novels, if you are into metal covers, if you're into Slipknot, he's a great, great channel to check out. I know I've spoken about him several times on my channel. I do frequent collaborations and buddy reads with Blackacre Doe. But he's definitely a channel worth checking out. He does a lot of different sides of horror. He's very focused on like kind of horror themes in music as well as horror themes in indie novels. And he has some really interesting insights and takes on a lot of things out there. So if you have not checked him out, all of his information is linked down below, and I highly, highly suggest you check out his channel and his Instagram page. But he is the one who told me about this book. This book came out, I think, in July of 2021. I know it's a new release, and I believe it's self-published. Oh no, it's by Sleepless Sanctuary Publishing. Which might be one of the first books actually published by this publishing company. I know there was a first that started with this. Anyway, he showed me this because he got this book and was like, this looks like such a gothic, like Victorian style novel. He was like, Violet, I think you're really gonna like this. And I took one look at the cover and then I read the back of the book and I was like, yeah, I feel like I really need to read this. So I'll read the back, which also is beautiful. Like, look at this filigree. I love that. So the back of the book. Inheritance often comes with strings attached, but rarely are they as tangled as those hanging over High Hearth. When Eudora Fellows learns she's the sole heir of her estranged great-aunt's seaside manor, she believes it will be the peaceful escape she's longed for. What awaits, however, is a dark legacy, shrouded in half a century of secrets. And it doesn't take long before Eudora realizes she's not the only one to call High Hearth home. So this is a very, very brief novel. How long is it? It's like 130 pages. 146 pages. I read this in like 2 or 3 days, I want to say. And I have a lot of thoughts on it. This one's a little difficult to talk about just because I really, really, really wanted this to be like a very traditional style gothic novel. And I'm seeing more and more when we get these kind of newer gothic voices in literature that they kind of skew things to be slightly more cinematic and more fast-paced than a typical like late 1800s, early 1900s gothic story. You see that with Mexican Gothic, you see it with Camilla Sten's The Lost Village. There's this interesting shift in the gothic tone in modern times that this book doesn't actually do to an extent. For the most part, I would say this novel is very, very much akin to the Gothic tradition, but more in the sense of like Susan Hill's The Woman in Black. Susan Hill's The Woman in Black, I think, is the pivotal example of how to write a contemporary Gothic novel that still feels fully Gothic in tone. Susan Hill's Woman in Black does not miss a beat. It is scary, it encompasses the tone of the dark, brooding manor. The manor is a character. The ghost is very pivotal to what's happening into the descent of madness of our main character. All very, very, very well done. This, however, is nods to all of those things and all of those tropes, but not executed in the way that I want it to. The opening half of this novel, or novella, whatever you want to call it, is phenomenal. We do get some very deep insight, some internal monologues from our main character. It sets up a lot of who she is, why she is the way that she is, and how she gets to this manor. When things start to fall apart is when we lose the manor as a character in this novel, and I think that's something that is so crucial and pivotal to the classic Gothic novel tale. Even Dracula to an extent. Those first couple chapters where we're so hyper-focused on Dracula's castle, the manor itself is this sprawling mystery. The turn of the screw, you see Bly Manor again, this manor of mystery. Rebecca, you have Manderley, again, manor of mystery. This one, there is a manor of mystery, but it never feels like a character. You get almost this like Richard Matheson Hell House style, where like the house is obviously mysterious, but it's the ghosts and the hauntings within it that create the character, not even the character, but like the caricature of the house. And that's where the story starts to lose me. That being said, I love Eudora Fellows, our main character's relationship with her dogs. I think that's something that we don't ever really see in Gothic stories, and it's very effective in this, especially when you're telling a ghost story. And the dogs are used as devices to both rationalize ghosts to our main character as well as to be detectors to our reader. I thought that was very, very, very well done. I think we have a very likable main character. I will say something that I think they could have played up with is our main character's sanity. It's really, really just brushed over, and it is something that I felt like could have been really unpacked. There is this Gothic trope that's used quite a lot where is the main character going crazy, or are ghosts and spirits creating this this effect on our main character? And I feel like that is something that was very briefly touched upon and could have been greatly expanded on in this novel. That being said, I like the twists. I like the diabolical characters. There's a lot of scenes in this story that I think, had they been expanded on, would have been able to create a more fuller novel. My biggest complaint with this book overall is that I felt it was too short. The beginning is so strong, and then the second half feels very, very rushed in a way that I just felt didn't balance out how much detail and thought was put into developing our main character. Because the second half of the book introduces a whole slew of characters that are just kind of introduced. You get a little bit about their background, and then you're on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one. Whereas the first entire half of the book focuses solely on our main character and then a solicitor who does become a prominent character in the second half of the novel as well. But the build up to define these two, as well as our main character's dogs, again, I think was a tone that I really, really loved about this. But then it kind of turned into my problem with Mexican Gothic, which is where that final act, everything just kind of gets ramped up, super fast paced, almost like just like a cinematic movie. If you've seen Crimson Peak, I feel like you'll like this story a lot as well. Crimson Peak suffers from the same problem that Mexican Gothic does, where that final act is very, very fast paced. However, it is a film, and the fast pace comes full circle to everything that has been set up beforehand. So I feel like it balances out very well in Crimson Peak, but there's just not enough in inheriting her ghosts to do that in this story. That being said, this is a 4-star read for me. I thought this was a phenomenal take on the Gothic genre. It read very much like an old school Gothic story would, set in the same time period. I believe it's set in the very early 1900s in England. And it is a very beautiful book. This artwork is very beautiful. I love the attention to detail of seances, and like summonings of spirits. That was very trendy at the time, and they really play up the trendiness of that fad, especially for the aristocracy at the time. And I really loved that. I really loved the attention to detail. I really wish it had been longer. I think that's my biggest issue with this. I found the ending, again, very, very rushed. I read it, and then like 2 days later I was thinking about it again, and I was kind of like, like the ending kind of blurred together, and I had to really think to like remember everything that happened, because there was so much buildup, and then it was just boom, 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 conclusion. Which sometimes can be very, very effective, but again, in a Gothic story, it's really iffy if that style is going to work, because I would much rather have a slow burn with a shocking payoff than a slow burn with a very amped up quick resolution, which I felt that this gave. That being said, I would love to read more from S.H. Cooper. I really, really enjoyed the style of writing in this, the tone, everything about it, and I would love to see what else this author has in store, and I would really enjoy it if S.H. Cooper wanted to expand and write more of a full-length Gothic novel versus just a novella, because I think this is an amazing, amazing starting point. I know that Black Acre Doe also really, really enjoyed this story. I'm not going to put any words in his mouth because I think you should watch his video as well, but he comes from a background where he hasn't really read that much classic Gothic lit, so it was very interesting to hear his take from more of a contemporary reader's perspective. And I know that he was a little hesitant at first going into this, being like, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about the slow burn Gothic, and he really enjoyed it. So again, this touches back towards this contemporary tone in Gothic literature that we have today, where I do think it is becoming more palatable and more digestible for the average reader. If you've ever read Turn of the Screw, it's only like 80 pages, but for some reason reading that novel feels like it's like 250 pages. Like, that novel really drags on. And I love that story. It's one of my all-time favorite ghost stories. But I can see where the tone and style and the ambiguity of that story can get very dated in today's world. I think there's of course a lot of merit to that, and I think people like Mike Flanagan, who have taken adaptations now of The Turn of the Screw and turned it into The Haunting of Bly Manor, how you can still keep the very core of that story but update it to modern times, and it works. That being said, I do think the original Turn of the Screw tale is stronger than Mike Flanagan's adaptation and his story told through it. It does do a couple things that I find very questionable, but I do really like the shift in modern Gothic. We are getting kind of a renaissance of that feel. So yeah, so that is all that I have for you guys today. Again, 4-star read. I do highly, highly, highly recommend checking this out. If you just want a quick snapshot of like contemporary Gothic lit, this is a great, great, great place to start. It really does check all of the boxes that I look for, and I really hope to read more from S.H. Cooper. So thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I will have Black Acre Doe's info and his matching video linked down below. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. As always, I post every Monday, Thursday, sometimes on Saturdays. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. It helps me out so much. We'll catch you all in the next one. Mwah.